Coming to the questions that were raised, one of the most important is the question of abortion of an unwanted pregnancy. Especially like the instance raised by Professor Hadiza of a woman that was raped by armed robbers and she became pregnant from that. What is going to happen with the psyche of such a woman? As we all know, human life, the sanctity of human life, and the 5 fundamentals that need to be protected are religion, life, intellect, progeny, and wealth. And they come in that order. Protection of religion is foremost, followed by protection of life, followed by protection of the intellect, followed by protection of progeny, and last protection of wealth. If by protecting your progeny and your honor, it will lead to the loss of life, you cannot do that, because protection of life is higher than protection of progeny and honor. Now, if the ulama regarding abortion, there is a point of consensus among them. That is, where a pregnancy would lead to the loss of the life of the mother, then aborting that pregnancy is mandatory, because the pregnancy is a life that is not finally conclusive, but the life of the mother is a certain life. So if an uncertain life could lead to the loss of a certain life, then the uncertain life could be aborted. Now, this area is much a point of agreement. If by abortion of the pregnancy is done in order to protect honor, then definitely that could not be a cause of abortion, because you are making the case of loss of life for the protection of something that is lower in the scale of the fundamentals, because it comes lower than protection of life, lower than protection of intellect. But in the case of some unwanted pregnancies, if the pregnancy is left, it may not just be a matter of honor. It could even be a matter of life, because there are tendencies for such women who become victims to take their lives because of the extent of the feeling, or they lose their intellect, they lose their mental health. Anything that will affect life and health is part of that first level of protection of life. Now, in deciding what to do regarding this, normally in certain countries, like in Saudi Arabia, I know they do this, they have what they call at-tabibu shari, that is the medical Sharia expert. Mostly they are lawyers who are also experts in fiqh. Doctors, and for that, 2 doctors qualified need to decide that this pregnancy has to be aborted because it constitutes a threat to the mother. Based on that, the other 2 doctors, medical doctors who are Sharia experts, will also give their judgment. So in such a situation, the best thing to do is to refer it to such a panel, and there is no clear rule regarding it. There are some ulama that make a distinction between the period when life has been blown into the fetus, which is after the first 120 days. Now, this does not mean, people should not say, now the recent controversy regarding the law in the state of Texas that was passed recently that makes abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy illegal, because they say after 6 weeks of pregnancy, the heartbeat has been detected. Because the Sharia is working with a convention. The Prophet ﷺ has made it a convention. The fact that there is a heartbeat does not mean that by convention it has become a human being in whom the spirit has been blown into, a ruh has been blown into. So the Hanafi fuqaha, they regard it as permissible to abort a pregnancy if it is before 120 days. But under the Maliki fiqh, a pregnancy, once established, it cannot be aborted except in the surah which we have mentioned. And that is why it is not possible to give a blanket judgment regarding this. This is something that needs to be examined on a case-by-case basis. Look at the patient, the victim. What are the potentials of that affecting his health? If it could be established that it could affect his health, even if it is mental health, even if it will not lead him to lose his life, then such a panel could conclude that the pregnancy may be aborted.